Welcome, welcome. Anybody who's here early, you get a few extra minutes with Francisco. We'll get started here in just a minute, guys. All right, let's get started. Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Francisco Servent, a founder and attorney at Keystone Law Firm. And today we're going to cover just a very small little sliver of the whole thing that we do for clients. This is who can be trustee, who should be trustee. This is the bigger picture question of, you know what, I hear so many families struggle over who to name or not struggle over who to name and are just think that the default first name that pops into their head is the right one. I need us to all learn that it's not always true. There are so many examples of this. We had one, a mom who, as she was getting on in years, you know, it just happens, right? We start to need some help. We start to need help with stuff around the house. We need help getting to the doctor. We need help going to pick up prescriptions and groceries. And, you know, we call that the legacy and care of life. That's where we might start needing some care, but we know we've got to be setting our legacy up at that because it might just be our last chance. And so that legacy and care stage is what this gal was into, and she looked around and she just kind of went, oh, you're okay. She picked the one that just made sense to her. And it happened to be one of her nieces because her children weren't in town, weren't super nearby. So a niece started helping around the house, started helping around with bills, and this gal had a few pieces of property, some rentals, and some money in the bank. And the daughters, they weren't both daughters, but the children were grateful at the time for this cousin offering to help out and help their mom. Turned into where she decided to move in so she could be there to help more and more and more and more and more. And as the mom's health continued to just slowly decline as she aged, the two daughters finally, well, it was kind of a surprise. They find out that mom passed away right away. They found out actually a couple days later, and it was almost by accident, and they called the cousin. They're like, what the heck? Mom died? What's going on? And she said, yeah, mom passed away. Your mom died. Here's what happened. And, you know, then holy cow, they had to kind of go through that shock and that a little bit of, oh my gosh, what the heck is with my cousin? Why didn't she tell us? And so that's kind of what happened. They just didn't know. Then what ended up happening over the next few months was they found out that the cousin, the niece, was really passing around a will that she claimed was the will, but as soon as they saw it, they could easily see that this thing was totally forged. And of course, it said everything was left to her. So the daughters called us. We went in, did the investigation. It completely was forged. The court threw it out. We ended up doing a big investigation and found out that this cousin was stealing money from the mom while she was still alive, to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this all just happened sort of right under their noses without anybody even thinking they had a complicated family situation. They didn't. I mean, it was a pretty simple situation. They had two kids and a niece that was very helpful. and then essentially the kids were left with nothing. We're still actually in the middle of that and trying to recover. It's a nightmare, and naming somebody to take care of for you is more than just who's the first person that pops into your mind as what makes sense at the moment. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to dig in on this kind of ugly scenario, this ugly topic. Now, just as a matter of making sure I fulfill my requirement with the state bar, this is not legal advice. What we talk about here today is just going to be general information that I hope is educational for you. I hope you can take something out of this and go, oh my gosh, I learned that, and I can do better now for my family. I know what I need to do to protect my family better. I mean, my whole purpose in life is to help others create their legacy. And I truly believe we do that not in, lofty goals that are 30, 40, 50 years long, but I believe we do that in 90 increments, in just short spurts. Number one, we don't know what life is going to be like in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and we can affect what legacy is going to be by actually doing something about it right now within the next 90 days. So anyway, I hope this is educational for you. It's not legal advice. Don't go out and do something based on this and then blame me if it doesn't work right. If you need advice, get advice. Get somebody who's qualified to sit down with you, talk about your situation, your needs, your family, and make sure they point you in the right direction. That's what legal advice is. If we haven't met before, welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is my family. This is a legacy I'm trying to build. We have 4 kids, Gabriel, Bella, Sophie, and Zach. They're right now 8 to 13 years old, and we're in the middle of the pandemic. Everybody else, all of you guys, and we are trying to figure out how to do virtual, remote school learning, blah. It's a whole new world. And in the midst of all of this, my team at Keystone is still digging in and helping families take care of your families. I think right now we are over $800 million of our clients' assets that have been protected probate, which is huge. We're huge. I remember years ago when we came up to the $100 million mark, we're actually coming up to the $1 billion mark, which is just phenomenal. So many of you are protecting your families, and that is just awesome. I'm a 2-time author in the process of writing. So if you need any information, that's the point of this, is to get you the information you need to protect your family and to create your legacy. I think we do that right now. So here's the topic for today. Who can or should be trustee, executor, power of attorney for you, so that you know you've made the best decision that fits your situation, your family, your loved ones, and does it from all angles, not just one angle, because then you'll be missing something. So the 3 things we're going to hit on is, what do the different jobs require? Number 2, when does the traditional choice end up destroying the family? That's kind of key. And then how do you choose between different family members? A lot of us do have multiple choices that we could make, and so how do you do that? That's what we're going to cover today, so stick with me. If you have not ever worked with Keystone Law Firm before, I'm going to explain throughout how we do that, just so you know how that works and how it works with us. In addition to getting this information, if you're looking for somebody to help you do that, you can use this as an opportunity to see, do we need to, should we, and would we enjoy working with a firm like Keystone and the team that I built there? You'll be able to figure that out here by the end of this. Question number 1, what are the different jobs and what do they require? This is the nuts and bolts, really. This is just kind of the gritty definitions and, legalese. We're going to get through this, so stick with me. There are 3 categories to this job, and I think it's helpful if you think about it from these 3 different categories: your health and medical stuff, your power of attorney financial stuff while you're alive, and then your financial stuff after you pass away. These are the 3 areas that I think it's important and helpful for you to break it down and think about it when you're thinking about naming people in your estate plan. You don't have to have the same people in these different roles. You can, and so I want to talk about what these are. I'm not going to have time to go through this in much detail, just a minute, but I want everyone here to know a will in Arizona is not enough. If all you have is a will, then welcome to probate while you're alive and after you die. A will in Arizona has to go through probate, and it will very likely require that your family actually go to probate court while you're alive just to manage your financial affairs, pay your bills, talk to your doctors, and do all that stuff. I've got another web class where I talk about the two different types of probates while you're alive after death. It's a nightmare. It can cost you $50, $60, $100,000 while you're alive. It can cost you $20, $40, whatever $1,000 after you die. It's a nightmare, even in great, healthy family dynamic situations, just because you're literally becoming a ward of the state, and now the court is overseeing everything. So that's why a will is not enough. You have to have a trust that's set up, kept up to date, and completely funded in order to have a chance at avoiding probate. So the first job is medical. What does this job require? Number one, this person is going to be responsible for making all of your medical decisions, okay? So talking to your doctors, your psychiatrist, your neurologist, anything related to prescriptions, at Walgreens or whatever, your health insurance, if you have long-term care insurance. Also, if you are going into a nursing home, right? Choosing which nursing home is going to be best for you, or what level of nursing home you need. Is it just like assisted living? Is it nursing home? Is it memory care? Something in the middle, or whether you stay at home and have caregivers come home into your home to help. That's all the decisions they're going to make, right? And you want somebody there who you trust and who knows what you would want. Now, so your job in that is to make sure you've described to this person what your preferences are about different types of treatment. If you have a preference about long-term care nursing home stuff, where you would live, where you don't want to live. I want to move in with my kids. I never want to move in with my kids. Right? I'm not judging either decision there. We have clients go either way, right? Sometimes it's a very culturally driven decision. And this is usually the person who's going to go with you to medical doctors, medical appointments, if it's a long-term, type situation. This is also the person who will be that end of life, that last critical decision of when to remove life support, okay? So, that's the person who's going to make that decision. The hospital will try to get, everybody in the family who's there involved in the decision, but ultimately it's this person that you name who can make that final decision of either yes or no, okay? So that's what the medical piece is. The next piece is the person who's going to be in charge of all of your money while you're alive. This is while you're alive, okay? So if you start to need help paying bills, managing, your IRA to get distributions, or, you've got a stock portfolio, or you've got a real estate portfolio, or you've got a business, these are all assets, money, property issues that are going to fall under this role, okay? It can either be called a power of attorney or a trustee at this time. Both of those are appropriate. Both of those can fit. If you have a trust, it's going to be the trustee. If you don't, it's going to be the power of attorney. But either way, in this role, you probably want to name the same person as power of attorney and trustee. That way, if they need to do something under either one of those, they can. The whole idea here is they're paying your bills, they're managing your money, they're protecting your money. That's the key here, is that they're protecting your money. And number one, and the next, that they are not starting to make distributions. This is not time to start counting the inheritance. Vultures are gonna start to set in here, and they need to be the person who is looking out for you. 100% looking out for you. That's the second role. And then the third role is what happens after we die. And in that moment, they're going to start picking up and just dealing with the money and the property and things like that. They have a lot of work to do. There's a ton of work to do there. They got to keep an inventory of everything that they do. They got to keep adequate records. They got to make sure taxes are filed. That they're the ones responsible for making distributions. everything they do it has got to be transparent, accountable. It's got to be done correctly, and there's very specific things that they have to do under Arizona law. Actually, every state has very specific requirements. If they don't follow that, they're personally responsible. Actually, all three of these rules, if they don't do what they're supposed to do under Arizona law, be personally liable for the mistake. And so whoever, there, you got to understand, they're taking on personal liability to do this job. So those are the three roles that we're going to talk about, and how, who and when and what people get appointed to those roles, okay? Now, what you should walk out of here with is a very clear understanding that this person, their biggest job is going to be to say no. That is their biggest job. They have to have the intestinal fortitude. They got to be able to go no. They got to be able to stand up to the other kids, the other siblings, to the in-laws, and to everybody else in the family, and they got to be able to put their hand up and say, nope, that's not what we're doing. Now, it's not that they are not supposed to do anything, but trust me, they are going to be pressured to do things that aren't allowed, that are illegal, right? Oh, can't you just loan some money? Can't you just make an early distribution? Come on. Yeah, mom said she never did want to go to a nursing home, but this is what we got. Nobody wants her or whatever. Let's just put her in one anyway. You are the person, or you're naming the person who has to have the strength to say no. I'm sorry, that's not what my job is. My job is to follow what they wanted, their wishes, and follow the law, period. And that's number one primary. You've got to make sure that who you're putting there can say no. It's such a hard job, but that's really what it is. So that's the first part that we want to cover. And the secret to that first part is that these jobs, they might literally be the worst jobs in the world. If you have never inherited or had to manage somebody's affairs who was in that legacy and care stage of life, if you haven't had to do that, you have a big learning curve to get to the point to know what it's going to take. Just like anything in life, right? If you haven't done it 100 times, you're figuring it out along the way. And so I promise you when I tell you, whether, no matter what happens, these jobs are the worst jobs in the world. It's thankless. Nobody likes you. You're always the bad guy. And so that's what we need to switch gears here to. When does the traditional choice of who people typically name end up destroying the family? I don't ever want to persuade someone from doing what they want. Okay, what you know is best for your family is what you need to do. I want you to make that decision, though, knowing I wish I could give you all of my experience so you can make that decision. And I'm going to give you as much as I can right here, right now. This is not the picture. This is a random picture of just a stock photo. But it kind of reminds me of the story of a gal who was named by her dad to administer the estate when he passed away. Super nice gal, super sharp. She was in the software side at a local tech company, big company. You guys would know the name. And sharp gal. I mean, she knew what was what, right? And he named her, put her in charge. It was her and her 4 siblings, I think, who were all splitting, sharing equally. It was nothing kind of, it wasn't unequal. It wasn't weird. It wasn't like somebody was being disinherited. And she started her dad passed away. She started to step in and take over and do the job of administering the estate. She calls us, we have a consultation, and she kind of goes and starts to do the work. She didn't ask for help at that time. She's like, I'm smart. I can do this. She gets about 4 months down the road, and we called to check up on her, and she's just like, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything in my life. I'm busy. I've got I've got 3 kids of my own, my husband, my full-time job. She's like, I feel so bad. I haven't done anything. And so, okay, let's help you take a couple steps. A few months later, she still really hadn't gotten stuff done. And by that point, the other siblings are like, dude, sister, like, what is going on? Like, get your act together. Let's get this going. But we're all busy. Like, I get it. Like me, my own life. Like, if this wasn't my job, taking care of somebody else, my dad, my mom, taking care of all their business, oh my gosh, I can barely take care of my own business. So anyway, she finally pulled the trigger, got us in, and we're able to start marching things forward. It still took about a year to get to the point where we're finally made the distributions to the siblings. And I just look at her life and I think, her poor kids, they got completely lost that time with their mom. Her husband, he lost that time with her. And because she had to dig in on the grind and do this stuff, which it's fine, I get it. It's sort of a family obligation. She'll never get that time back. And I just hate the fact that, the rest of her siblings, they had great relationships before. Now they look, and they're like, sister, they probably have this little jaded view of her ability, desire. I don't know, right? There's another example of a guy who was his mom's executor. He was the older of the 2 children, and they were as tight, they were as thick as thieves, those 2. I mean, they celebrated holidays together, they had kids, their kids were in lives together. And when mom passed away and he started administering her estate, I don't know what happened. She went and talked to a lawyer, and that lawyer started sending threatening letters like, you're hiding stuff, you're not being transparent. And it turned into a giant battle, literally, because it is my experience that almost no matter how healthy the family is, when you name, and it just is traditional, you name that oldest child, right? That's just kind of traditionally what happens. What ends up happening is you put that one child in charge of the whole thing, and it ends up with the other 3 looking at that one saying, and they don't know what needs to be done. They don't know the whole process and how much work it is, but they're looking at that one going, you're taking too long. You're not sharing enough information. You this, you that, you this, you that. And the blame game just starts, whether it's a full-blown, lawsuit, or if it's just, internal family squabbles, which, that gossip, that hurts families. And, putting those other kids against the one that you or traditionally is appointed, is named, it just sucks. Like, that is not the legacy that I want to leave behind for my kids. I don't want my oldest to be the one who's sort of the bad guy. But anyway, that's what traditionally happens, and I see it happen too often where it just ends up, they end up becoming the bad guy. Now, another thing that we see traditionally done is that some people will put 2 people. They'll be like, oh, look, one person will be the bad guy. I'll make 2 people in charge, and then they'll always have to agree. I've never seen that work out well. We had somebody came to us, their father had passed away, and he had named the 2 daughters as the co-executors. Well, they didn't end up fighting between each other, thank God. But what ended up happening was it literally took 3 years to get everything done, because we had to go, okay, we got to draft this thing, we got to chase you down for signature, we got to chase you down for signature, we got to file it in court, we got to draft it again, chase you down, file it in court. And then every single bank they had to deal with, it was, either find a time they both could get to the bank. Well, one lived out of state, so that never worked. Okay, well then one goes to the bank, the other one gets a mail, gets back, and then the bank says, no, you checked the box wrong. Okay, go back. It literally just dragged on and on and on and on, and it was not, it was terrible. And both sisters are just like, aren't we done yet? Oh my gosh, I mean, literally 3 years to do all that, and it was not a complicated estate. I don't recommend, and I almost completely forbid my clients from naming more than one person at a time, unless you have a really compelling reason. it just doesn't ever make things simpler. It doesn't. All of the beneficiaries that you have, they are entitled to complete information, transparency, all the information, whatever it is, boom, 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 boom. They're entitled to all of it. So naming more than one person on to do the job does not make it simpler. It doesn't get everybody involved. It just slows the whole thing down to a grinding halt. That's why companies are led by one CEO. That's why schools are led by one principal. That's why governors and states and cities and countries are led by one governor, one mayor, one president. You put one person in charge. Everybody else is entitled to the information and can help, but one person's the final decision maker. Now, I completely flip my view, though, with the medical decisions. On the medical decisions, I have not experienced problems when you name multiple people. So if you want all your kids or, a couple people involved and as joint decision makers for your medical stuff, totally good. I've seen that work really well. And I've seen it work really well with only one person also. So whatever you want to do on the medical side, I've seen work really just fine. So go ahead and knock that piece of it out and use that to make your decisions. But what I don't want you to walk out of here thinking is that you are bestowing an award on someone or some grand honor, some grand gesture. I picked you. Aren't you so lucky? No, trust me. You are giving them the worst job in the world, and you need to know that and accept that reality as you put them in that position. Totally fine if you want to do it. Totally fine if you do it. But just know you're not giving them an honor. You're not bestowing an award on them. It's not this grand gesture of, I trust you so much, now you get to have the job. Nope. They're going to hate every minute of the job. I promise you. So you need to know that. And then the second piece of this is you need to know the true cost of putting a family member in there. So we work with lots of family members who are executors, who are trustees, who are power of attorneys. They come to us for advice. If it was a client of ours, they come to us for advice and we help them figure it out. Or if it wasn't, right, somebody just off the street, there is a true actual cost that they are going to have to invest in doing something that's probably the first time they've ever done it. And it's a rather complicated endeavor. It's not common sense at all. There is no common sense in these laws that tell them what to do, okay? It's just very specific. So these are the different phases: initial setup, inventory and clean out, bills, taxes, and distributions, okay? In each of those phases, like I said, we've helped hundreds, maybe even thousands of families do this, and we've gotten some averages, and this is generally speaking how many hours it's going to take them to do the job during each stage. So total 300 hours, and I just plugged in the value of time. I used a general hourly rate because I'm kind of assuming most of the people who are doing this job, their parents have passed away in their 80s or 70s or 80s or 90s, and they themselves are in their 50s or 60s. And on a blended, average, I guess we're using, they have an annual salary or earning capacity of about $70,000 a year. So that means that the total value of their time is a little over $10,000. That's what they are going to lose. And trust me, they have to take time off work. They have to put in for leave. They're going to use some of their PTO, or they're going to just take unpaid leave. And it's going to be a cost on their life, period. We also do see some clients who name a professional to do the job, and I've got a little more info on that I can share with you here, where they have to do all the same stuff too, and their time is going to be compensated for out of the estate, out of the trust, but your family then is left with very little to do. And this time here is how much time your family is going to spend if they use a professional on the right side. So your family's going to have a little bit of time up front at the initial setup and the clean out, because you want them involved in making decisions about what to do with your personal belongings. But then there's really almost no time after that. It's going to just be, tell me what's going on. And then at the end, it's tell me what the distributions are. And that's kind of it. So your family is literally going to save over almost 270 hours and over $9,000 in out-of-pocket value if they had to serve versus if they don't and they put a professional there. So there's just a huge cost. I want you to know what that is when you put your family in the job or versus when you don't and you save them a bunch of time and money. Okay, so that's the secret number 2. Who gets to be the bad guy? You get to pick, okay? And truly, you do have to pick. And what's nice about this is what you pick today, it probably isn't going to be what you have at the end, because most of us aren't drafting and signing our will, our trust, our documents the day before we pass away. Most people aren't. Occasionally we have to deal with that emergency, but most people aren't. Most people are doing this and they're going to live their life years and years and years and years. So that means you're going to make updates along the way, which is how our trust care program works. And so who you name now is just who you think is going to fit best right now. Okay, now how to choose between different family members. I've heard more clients express concern about if I pick one, is the other one going to feel slighted, right? I hear that a lot. And so far, I honestly have to say that when you have picked someone and put it in the right legal documents and you've kept those up to date over time so that by the time it's needed, it feels fresh and relevant and not 50 years old, not 20 years old, not even 10 or 5 years old, then the rest of the family, I haven't yet heard other family members like call and complain about it. They just kind of go, oh, well, okay, that's fine. And then a couple months later, after they see how bad and ugly the job is, they go, oh, thank goodness. Ha, 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 I don't want that job. So I think that's a perception we have, but I don't think that actually plays out. I haven't seen that play out. Who are you going to pick between different family members? Because of the different roles, you have to think about different people that are going to be appropriate for those roles. You just do, right? Because that legacy and care stage of life, doing that job, somebody who's going to help out during that time is going to be very different than somebody who is, doing the finances, the bookkeeping, the accounting and stuff, either while we're alive or after we pass away. Very different skills and strengths needed for each of those. So here's kind of all the mess of things that I think you gotta take into consideration. Who fits now? That's the number one thing. Who fits right now? I know we want to think about this from the perspective of, I'm not dying right now. I'm gonna think about this for the next 10 years. What's going to fit in 10 years? I get it, but I don't believe that's the right way to think about it. I would switch my way of thinking to say, look, I may not even make it home today. Well, we're all stuck at home, so I may not even make it, whatever, to the grocery store. We might not even make it, right? We don't know when the end is. And so what we should say to ourselves is, who fits right now to do the job now? That's critical. You've got to just think about this from the perspective of now, because it's easy to change it and update it if the situation changes. So who fits now? Number 2, who can handle the stress of this type of job? If you've never done this job before, you probably don't have a good sense of a good feeling for how stressful it is. So you want to look at somebody who can handle things like doing the taxes, or they've gone through the experience of losing a loved one, or they've gone through the experience of something dramatically stressful or challenging in their life, maybe a major medical event, or maybe a major emergency. They've had something happen that just completely blew their life apart, and they came out of it on the other side. That's somebody who you know can handle the kind of stress that's going to be given to them in this situation. You need somebody who can say no. You need somebody who has shown you they can say no when the pressure gets tough, when the pressure builds and it's mounting, and it would just be so easy to cave in. You need somebody who has demonstrated they can say no to others. You want somebody for the financial stuff who's got some financial skills. I do not recommend, no, 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 no. Do not put somebody in that role if they have financial troubles in their own life. Especially if they are in lawsuits, if they have declared bankruptcy, unless it's a long time ago and they're completely squared away now. Somebody who knows how to budget, somebody who knows how to manage the bills, somebody who doesn't live beyond their needs, that's who you want in the financial roles, okay, both for during your life and after your death. Generally speaking, it can be easier if they're close by, right? If you don't have to be like direct neighbors with you, but you want them, especially for the medical side, you want that part to be nearby. If you don't have anybody nearby, then we do have a Band-Aid for this. We have actually I shouldn't say a Band-Aid, a program for this, which can be really helpful. If your person that you truly trust to do the job lives out of state or far away, that's okay. Name them. That's actually, you want the person that you trust, okay? But if they may not be able to be here quickly in an emergency, then we have something called emergencylegalagent.com, where you can go and just name a local agent just to be the local temporary emergency contact until that person gets here. So you name them for the long-term, permanent, real decisions, and you have this emergency agent that's just there for the emergency, okay? That's something you can do if you don't have somebody who lives nearby. And then you want to name somebody that's a suitable age. I know that's a tough, maybe, conversation to have, but it's just the reality, okay? You don't want to name somebody who's 95 years old, not because they couldn't do the job, but because their life can change so much faster than somebody who's in their 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s. You really need to have somebody who doesn't have those the known critical health issues that can come upon them. And you want somebody who can be nimble, who can put the time and energy and effort that's going to be needed to do this job over a sustained period of time. And so just watch out for who you name, that you are naming somebody that's appropriate age. Okay, those are all the things to consider when you're picking a family member. What if you want to name a professional? Somebody who's, you know, nice and organized, they got their suit and tie on, they got their money all counted and lined up, okay? My cat, this is not my cat Tinsel, but oh my gosh, Tinsel, I feel like might do a better job than some people out there. Professionals are going to do this. They do this as a job. So they run a very tight ship. What does it look like? What should you consider? Certainly, if you can't think of somebody to do these jobs, then yes, there are really good professional choices that you can pick. Keystone Law Firm doesn't serve as that exact role, but we partner with somebody who does. We can connect you with somebody who's called a licensed fiduciary who does. They're an outside business, and then we help them do the job for you. And they take off all of the ugly work. They become the bad guy. Your family can hate them for having to go through the process, and it's great because then your family is united hating that bad guy who will be out of their lives when it's all said and done. But then your family is brought closer together instead of leaving one of the family members out as the bad guy. So I like that dynamic of having a third-party neutral to do the job. And then the other way to have a neutral third-party help is you can name a family member to do all these jobs, or different family members, but then you tell the family members, look, you're the decision maker, but the third-party neutral is going to do all the ugly work. They're going to do the paperwork, they're going to deal with the legal notices, they're going to blah, 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 blah. And then they just have to sort of approve things that are happening. And it makes it so much easier. Then they become the bad guy still, the third-party neutral, and your family member can just, you know, help unite everybody around that common cause. So I think it's worth considering whether that should be part of your choice or not. So just remember, in closing on this third point, is that your choice is only for now. You make a choice that'll fit for now, for the next year or so, and then you're good. You just live with it, and in about a year, you pick it up and you review it and you say, does this still make sense for my life? Your life is going to change a little bit every year. Sometimes, like this year with the pandemic, we've had some massive changes. So you have to look at it and say, really, truly, Is this what's right for now? And then pick it up again in a year and say, is this what's right for now? Again, the way we do our Trust Care membership program, it's super easy to make those changes on an annual basis, and we make it really painless. It's pretty easy, and that way you can tweak these things as life actually happens. So I'm going to pause here for just a moment. If you're new to Keystone, you haven't worked with us before, then, I mean, holy cow, welcome, good job. Like, congratulations for sticking through this. What I'm going to switch gears to is more relevant for you than it is for people who already are clients of ours. If you are already a client of ours, you're welcome to stick around. I'm glad you watched, because I hope this helped you either confirm the decisions you've made, or maybe it's prompting you and you're like, oh boy, I think I need to make some changes here. Totally good. I want it to be right for you. I'm going to start here and switch gears a little bit about what it looks like to become a client of Keystone, to do this stuff for you so that you can protect your family, because that's what we're always asking is, did you take care of your family? Did you solve this problem? What would it look like if you didn't solve this problem? We get those phone calls way too often, and I don't want that to be your family. So here's the process. To become a Trust Care member, that's what it is for us. The first thing is generally some type of education like this, where you learn and you hear and you go, okay, these people sound like they know what they're talking about. I guess we'll go next. Next step is a private one-on-one appointment. And we're doing a lot of those by video right now. And we do have a limited availability of in-person ones. It's mostly by video just because of the pandemic, which is nice, because then you can stay at home and be in the comfort of your home. And if you need to look for a document, you can run around and look for it. After that first private appointment, you then say yes or no, let's get started, or nope, we're going to part as friends. If you do choose to get started, then is when you start to build the blocks and build the plan and put it together. And that's the next step. Our firm does operate with all of these services completely as flat fee. So it's just like a menu at a restaurant. You're not paying the cook at a restaurant by the hour or by the minute. You're paying for the meal. And same thing with us. You're not paying for us by the hour, by the minute. You're paying for the product. So when you engage with us, that first private meeting is where you go through all of these different menu items, and you say, I like that. What does this mean? I like that. You ask a bunch of questions, and you put together the menu items that you like, and there's a flat fee for you. A lot of our clients, they start with a very foundational plan if they've never done one with us before, or maybe they've never done one anywhere, or maybe they've got a really old one that needs to be brought up to date. They start with a very foundational plan, and then over the years, they build on that. They build, add a little tax planning, add a little asset protection, add a little generational planning, whatever, right? So a lot of our clients do start with something nice and foundational, and then add over time. Some of our clients are just like, no, I want to bite the bullet and just get it all done right now, and that's fine too. It's just a bigger investment of your time and your money, of course. Now, who should be a Trust Care member? Number one, we have a strict no curmudgeons policy. That's what this cat is here to remind me of. You're hearing me. You're getting to know me a little bit on this web class. This is how we operate. My office, my staff, my team, we are not in high-rise buildings, wearing a black suit and tie every day. We are a more casual atmosphere where we're trying to help you protect your family. We're trying to help you make things as simple as possible for your family. Protect your real estate, protect your businesses, protect your investments, protect the wealth that you've worked so hard to save for them, for you, right? That's what we're trying to do. And we're not hung up on wearing black suits and ties every day. We're much more hung up on making sure you are taken care of. So we do have a strict no curmudgeons policy. If you feel like any one of us is getting grumpy, call us out. If you start to feel like you're getting grumpy yourself, then please give us the permission to say, hey, what's going on here? What are we not understanding? Now, the financial side, it makes sense to start doing this as soon as you own a home and as soon as you've got at least $100,000 saved up in any kind of investment or asset. At that minimum level, you are at risk of hitting into the probate system becoming a ward of the state and just watching the wealth that you're trying to build just get completely decimated by the court system. So I encourage you, anything above that level, it makes total sense financially for you to make the investment of getting your family protected by becoming a trust care member. Now, at that first private appointment, we call that a discovery hour. It's total no pressure, very casual, very easy for you to ask questions. There's no commitment other than that 1 hour block where you will sit down with someone on our team, a client relationship manager, who knows how to have those first appointments. You're not going to sit with a lawyer because lawyers are really good at making things way more complicated than they need to be, which we want, and we want to leverage that skill and leverage their expertise. But that first appointment, you don't want to walk out of there feeling complicated. You want to walk out of there feeling like you understood what is needed. And so you're going to do 3 things there. Help us understand your issues, help my team understand your goals, and then they will go through the options that are relevant for you. And then that's it. You make a decision. You either move forward and get started, or you say, no thanks, we can part as friends, and you will get some great value out of that meeting. What's amazing, the way we've designed that, is that it is 100% designed so that you walk out of there with clarity, with understanding, and on top of that, with a whole bunch of great resources. So we stack on a ton of great resources. So the discovery hour itself, worth at least $500 in the amount of clarity and understanding that you're going to walk out of there with. But then we also give you a personal information book organizer. This thing is an amazing tool to actually help you organize your legacy so that it's right there in one quick little thing that your family can find, and they don't have to spend hours and hours and days and years just trying to find it. Third, we give everybody who goes through the discovery hour a Myths of Financial Security. Since we deal mostly with folks who are in retirement or are thinking about retirement, I just have a big heart for how hard you are working to save your money and plan for your financial security. And I've just seen it too many times where people think they're working with a financial advisor that has your best interest at mind, at heart, when in reality, all they're doing is churning your accounts. And it's so easy to see if that's how they operate, depending on what license they have. And when I learned that there's a completely different license between a stockbroker, commission-driven salesperson, and a fiduciary who doesn't get paid when, based from any stock companies at all, they're not allowed to under their license. When I learned that, I went, oh my gosh, there's so many of these little tidbits that I want my clients to learn. So we give everybody that Myths of Financial Security so that you can be more financially secure. And then we'll also give you a successor trustee handbook so that your trustee knows what to do, what the job is. Huge value. And then my book, one of my books, Pack Your Parachute, will give you a free digital copy right to your email there. Over $1,400 in value. Tons of value we stack into this discovery hour because whether you hire us or not, these are things you can take and use, and we can give them to you. And it doesn't have to stop you from moving forward. So tons of value. We give 100% satisfaction guarantee on our discovery hours. For any reason you don't think it was worth it, we will completely refund the flat fee for these. It is $125 for that 1 hour appointment. That just makes sure we've got people who are committed to learning. And my staff's time, not my time, my staff's time is committed and reserved for you. And then that is applied towards any services that you engage for. So you get credit for that. It's just to reserve that appointment slot. That way we don't end up having a whole bunch of people who either no-show or who really aren't all that interested in protecting their families. And so that's how the discovery hour process works. Now, my staff has been beating me up, and they beat me up to the point where I said, okay, so we're doing these for $75 right now. And so that's really as easy as I can make it for you to try it out and see what it's like, see what it's like to work with Keystone. And the way you schedule those, it's about as easy as possible. You can jump right online, or you can call our office and schedule that. If you're online, it's just that website, bit.ly/Keystone appointment. And you can schedule, you can pay, find a time that works for you. You'll get an email back confirming it, and you get a second email that outlines what you need to do to prepare. There's actually not a lot you need to do to prepare for that. You don't need to organize everything in your life. You don't need to find all your records and become a accountant overnight. We don't expect that, and it's not necessary. Whatever you want to gather for that appointment is great, but you don't have to get everything organized before then. What we do during that appointment, part of what we do is we help you learn what you need to get organized. That way it's simpler. So you can jump online and schedule that. You can also call the office and schedule that and say, hey, I just watched the web class on with Francisco on who should be a trustee. I want to schedule my discovery hour, and they'll help you do that right over the phone. I think that is all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, feel free to call the office. It's 480-209-6942. Or you can email my team at team@keystonelawfirm.com, and they will help you get your questions answered. Most of the questions, though, do get answered during the discovery hour, so they will just refer you back to that most likely. If you already are a client of ours, you don't need to go through the discovery hour process. You get to skip that, and you can just call the office and schedule an appointment, and they'll help you do that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Be safe out there, and here's to protecting your legacy.